There is a moment in everyone's life when things start to feel slightly heavier than they used to, not in an obvious way, but in a quiet, almost invisible manner. Days begin to blur together, energy feels inconsistent, motivation shows up, then disappears without warning, and somewhere in the middle of all of this, a simple question begins to echo in the background. What if the way we live each day is shaping everything we experience more than we realize? Not in a dramatic sense, not overnight, but slowly, quietly, consistently. The truth is, life rarely changes in big cinematic leaps. It shifts through the small things we repeat without thinking, the way we wake up, the way we move, the way we pause or rush or ignore what our body and mind are asking for. And the most surprising part is that transformation does not require a complete reinvention. It begins with awareness. It begins with noticing what is already happening and choosing to gently shift direction. There is something powerful about the idea that your daily rhythm is not fixed. It is not locked. It is shaped by habits, and habits can evolve. Think about the way a single morning sets the tone for everything that follows. When the day begins in chaos, everything after often carries that same energy. When the day begins with intention, even in a quiet and simple way, something inside starts to align. It is not magic. It is rhythm. A calm morning does not need to be complicated. It can be as simple as giving yourself a moment before the world rushes in, a pause before the noise, a breath before the demands. That small space can become the difference between feeling carried by the day and feeling grounded within it. And yet, mornings are only part of the story. The way we treat our attention throughout the day matters just as much. Modern life constantly pulls focus in every direction. Notifications, conversations, responsibilities, endless streams of information. It becomes easy to exist in a state of partial attention, never fully present in anything. But something shifts when attention becomes intentional. When you choose to focus deeply on what is in front of you, even for a short while, clarity begins to return. Thoughts feel less scattered. Decisions feel more aligned. There is a quiet sense of control that replaces overwhelm. And that control is not about rigid discipline. It is about presence. Presence also changes the way we interact with our own thoughts. Many people carry internal conversations that are harsh without realizing it. A constant inner commentary that criticizes, compares, or doubts. Over time, that voice can become so familiar that it feels normal. But normal does not always mean healthy. When that internal dialogue begins to soften, something remarkable happens. Mistakes no longer feel like identity. Challenges no longer feel like permanent barriers. There is more room to breathe inside your own mind. And in that space, growth becomes possible. There is also a quiet power in how we move our bodies, not in the sense of intense effort or extreme routines, but in the simple act of not remaining still for too long. The body is designed for movement, for flow, for circulation. When movement becomes part of daily life, even in gentle ways, energy begins to shift. Moods often follow movement more closely than we realize. A sluggish state can begin to clear. Mental fog can start to lift. The connection between body and mind becomes more visible, more tangible. And it is not about perfection. It is about consistency in a natural, sustainable form. Another often overlooked habit is the environment we choose to exist in. The spaces around us quietly influence the mind. Clutter can create subtle tension. Order can create subtle ease. Noise can fragment focus. Calm surroundings can support clarity. Even small adjustments in physical space can ripple into emotional space. A clearer environment often leads to a clearer mind. But perhaps one of the most powerful shifts comes from the way we respond to discomfort. Life will always contain moments of uncertainty. There will always be situations that feel unfamiliar or challenging. The instinct may be to resist, to withdraw, to avoid. But growth often lives on the other side of discomfort. When discomfort is met with curiosity instead of resistance, something changes internally. Instead of asking why this is happening, the mind begins to ask what can be learned from this moment. That shift in perspective transforms the experience entirely, and over time, resilience is not something that is forced. It becomes something that is built quietly through repeated experience. There is also something deeply healing about the way we connect with others. Human connection is not only about conversation, it is about presence, listening, understanding without rushing to respond. In a world that often moves quickly, genuine connection becomes rare and valuable. A moment of real attention given to another person can create a sense of grounding for both sides. It reminds us that life is not meant to be experienced in isolation. Even brief interactions can carry meaning when they are rooted in sincerity. And while external habits shape much of our experience, internal rest is equally important. Rest is not only physical, the mind also requires space where it is not constantly processing, solving, or anticipating. Moments of stillness allow thoughts to settle. Emotions begin to organize themselves naturally when not constantly disturbed. In that stillness, clarity often emerges without force. But in modern life, stillness can feel unfamiliar. Silence can feel uncomfortable at first. Yet with time, it becomes something nourishing rather than empty. There is also a subtle but profound shift that happens when gratitude becomes a natural part of perception. Not forced positivity, not denial of difficulty, but a genuine awareness of what is still present and steady even during uncertain moments. Gratitude changes the lens through which life is experienced. It does not erase challenges, but it balances them. It allows the mind to recognize that even in complexity, there are elements of stability, support, and meaning. And slowly, that recognition begins to reshape emotional resilience. At some point in this reflection, a question naturally arises. If these shifts are so simple in concept, why do they feel so difficult to maintain? The answer is not lack of ability, it is the momentum of old patterns. The mind tends to repeat what is familiar, but familiarity is not destiny, it is simply repetition, and repetition can be changed. The process is not about forcing transformation overnight, it is about gentle persistence, returning again and again to the habits that support well-being, even after moments of forgetting, especially after moments of forgetting. Because progress is not linear. It moves in cycles. It expands, contracts, and expands again. And somewhere within that cycle, change becomes visible not as a sudden event, but as a gradual shift in identity. You begin to respond differently without forcing it. You begin to think differently without effort. You begin to feel differently without even realizing when it started. That is how real change often unfolds. As this reflection begins to settle, there is a final thought worth holding on to. Life is not transformed by dramatic moments alone. It is shaped by the quiet decisions repeated in ordinary days. The way you treat your mornings, the way you guide your attention, the way you speak to yourself, the way you move, rest, connect, and reflect. Each of these carries more weight than it appears to on the surface. And when they begin to align, even slowly, life does not become perfect, but it becomes clearer. It's important for a bunch of reasons. It jumpstarts your metabolism and stops you from overeating later. Plus, studies show that adults who have a healthy breakfast do better at work, and kids who eat a morning meal score higher on tests. If a big plateful first thing isn't for you, keep it light with a granola bar or a piece of fruit. Just don't skip it. It'll help you save time and money in the long run. Block out some time, then sit down and consider your goals and needs. Do you want to lose weight, cut back on sugar, fat, or carbs, add protein or vitamins? Meal prep keeps you in control. You know what you're eating and when. A bonus, it'll be that much easier to skip those donuts in the break room at work.t can do so many good things for you. Staying hydrated is at the top of the list, but it may also help you lose weight. Another reason to go for H2O? Sugary drinks are linked to obesity and type 2 diabetes. If you aren't a fan of plain water, add flavor with slices of orange, lemon, lime, watermelon, or cucumber. Don't just grab another cup of coffee, get up and move. Do some deep lunges or stretches. It's great for your body and mind. Just 30 minutes of walking 5 times a week may help keep the blues at bay. And if you can't do those minutes all at once, short bursts help. Checking your email and social media a lot? Sure, your friends and family's latest updates are just a click away, but do you really need to see pictures of your cousin's latest meal? Let it wait until morning. Set a time to log off and put the phone down. When you cut back on screen time, it frees you to do other things. Take a walk, read a book, or help your cousin chop veggies for their next great dinner. Lighter, more intentional. The journey is not about becoming someone entirely new. It is about returning to a version of yourself that is more present, more grounded, more aware. And perhaps the most meaningful part of all is this: that version is not far away. It has always been closer than it seems. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments. Like the video if you found value in it, and subscribe for more content that explores growth, awareness, and the quiet habits that shape a better life. Shape a better life. Shape a better life.